This is the second time I'm filming this video, which says a lot about the week I've been having. I hope you're doing better than I've been doing. I hope you're doing good since the last time I talked to you. This week she's been a rough one. She's been a rough 7 days. This is the second time I'm filming this video. And I've just been in turmoil. Literally, I've been sick the past week. I got an upper respiratory infection that turned into an ear infection. That wasn't great. And then my laptop just all of a suddenly decided to stop working as I was editing a video. Yeah, it's been a rough week. It's been a rough week, so I hope you're doing better than I've been doing, because it's been, como se dice, horrible. So today's video is going to be just a little sit down / chit chat with me video about my unpopular book opinions. I feel like y'all don't know that much about me, and I would be down to do a Q&A if y'all want a Q&A. Like, let's get to know each other, let's talk, let's have a little chit chat. But book-wise, I feel like talking about my unpopular book opinions would be a really fun way for y'all to get to know me when it comes to who I am as a reader. I thought it would be really fun to kind of talk about my unpopular book opinions, so maybe y'all can get to know me a little bit better when it comes to who I am as a reader and like what maybe you can expect from my channel when it comes to the things I read. So let's talk about it. Obviously, I just want to preface this by saying these are all my opinions. So they're not fact, they're opinion. So if you don't agree with it or you just feel differently, that's totally okay. But these are my opinions. Respectfully, let me know down in the comments what your opinions are about these topics or these types of books or whatever it is that we're about to talk about. My first unpopular book opinion is that I don't like the forbidden love trope. I just find it kind of annoying. I feel really mean for saying that and really bad for saying that, but also at the same time, I don't really care, because it is. To me, it is. And the reason why is because the way that the authors write the forbidden love trope is what gets on my nerves. Like, the way they write the characters for a forbidden love trope gets on my nerves. I just feel like if a character is 30 years old, there is no way, there is no plausible explanation at 30 years old for you to not be able to control yourself for the sake of the secret relationship. You know what I'm saying? I get it's for like the plot of the story and everything, because at some point somebody does have to find out in order for the plot to progress, but it's the fact that even sometimes, even if it was just like 30% of the time where we could act like we have some self-control, I would be more inclined to reading the forbidden love trope. But it's just the fact that it's like you can't control yourself, and it's like when y'all are out in public, it's like the time that you decide that just fuck everything. Oh, she's mine, he's mine, da 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 da. You're like doing all of this out in public, and you know, like, this relationship is supposed to be a secret, so why are you doing that? Can we reel it back, reassess, regather, recoup, and really think to ourselves, is it the smartest thing for me to pin her up against the wall and make out with her in public when the relationship is supposed to be a secret? Common sense. And like I said, I understand maybe a slip up here and there. I get that. We're human. I'm human, you're human. But let's be so for real. My next unpopular opinion is that I have no issue DNFing a book. None at all. And I will say I am guilty of making myself finish a book that should have been a DNF, but I wanted to finish just because I didn't want a book on my DNF list. But I'm coming to terms with the fact that I have no issue DNFing a book, because me personally, I'm not going to force myself to read a book and possibly put myself in a reading slump just so I can say that I didn't DNF the book and that it's not on my DNF list. If it's not hitting For me, it's not hitting, and I'm not gonna force myself to try and make it hit. That was kind of cringy. It's okay if a book is not good to you, and it's okay if you decide to set it down. It's okay if you decide to revisit it. It's okay to decide that you never want to pick it up again. It's okay to decide that you never want to read something from that author again. It's okay to decide if you never want to read another book in that series again. For me, it's not really the end of the world. Like, I have a good handful of books on my DNF list, and I mean, you can venture out of your comfort zone and get into a genre that you thought you might like, and you end up reading it and you hate the book. It's okay to put it down. Like, it's okay. But like I said, if a book is not doing it for me, respectfully, I'm gonna put it back on the shelf. My next unpopular book opinion is that I absolutely love the hype. I know a lot of people tend to think that like books on Book Talk or like books on BookTube are like overhyped, but if a book has a lot of hype, to be honest, I'm the first one to want to check it out. I want to know what it's about. Like, why is everybody talking about it so much? Like, I want to be the one to figure out why it's so hyped up. And I'm gonna say it right now, 90% of the books I read that are hyped up deserve the hype. And that's just my personal opinion. Like, there's nothing wrong with like not being into books that are hyped up, but for me personally, I'm going to decide for myself if they deserve the hype. Like, I'm not going to shy away from a book or a series just because it has a lot of hype. Like, I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna give it a chance, I'm gonna read it, and obviously I'm going to form my own personal opinion of it, and if it deserves the hype, it deserves the hype. If it doesn't, it doesn't, in my personal opinion. I never understood really why people hate on books just because they have a lot of hype, but they've never even like given it a chance or like tried to read it. Number 4, I don't like YA. I think YA books are just that, meant for young adults. And when I mean young adults, I mean like teenagers. You know, I'm 21. So when I think of young adult, I think of kids in high school. Any YA book that I've tried to read at this point in my life, I feel like doesn't resonate with me the same way that my more mature books do. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some YA novels that I will always love, and if I find a book that is YA that I think is interesting, I'll obviously give it a try. But for the most part, I think I've outgrown YA novels. Personally, I feel like for YA novels, a lot of the writing is immature, a lot of the themes are immature, which obviously that makes sense because it's for young adults. But me personally, at the age I'm at now, I don't think YA is for me anymore, and I've kind of strayed away from it. When I first started my reading journey again, I tried picking up YA novels because that's what I was into when I was in high school, and I found that they really just weren't resonating with me the same way they did when I was in high school. So when I first started reading again, I ended up DNFing a lot of YA novels that I had bought. This next one, I feel like maybe a lot of people could agree with. Well, I wouldn't even say that. That's a stretch. I don't think a lot of people would agree with this. I definitely think the movie can be better than the book. Listen. And I definitely feel like there's a lot of different things that go into a movie being better than the actual book. It definitely depends on like what book we're talking about and what movie adaptation we're talking about. But for example, The Hunger Games. I read The Hunger Games and I liked The Hunger Games, but I definitely thought the movies were better. Like I said, there's a lot of things that can go into what makes a movie better than a book. It could be the cinematography, it could be the soundtrack, it could be the actors. Like, it could be a lot of things that make the movie better than the book. And sometimes the movies are like the books. Sometimes the movies are like the books, which is what also makes it better. Like, I know I've heard a lot of people say that Where the Crawdads Sing, the book is not better than the movie. And I'm not mad about it. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing for the movie to be better than the book. It doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna read it, watch it either way. So number 6 is that I think readathons and monthly wrap-ups are too much pressure. I love watching readathons on YouTube and book talk and watching like monthly wrap-ups and stuff like that. But at the same time, me personally, I try not to hold myself to a standard like that, because I know a lot of booktubers and a lot of people on book talk read like 10, 13, fucking 16 books a month. I'm like, how are y'all doing that? To me, it's just not realistic for someone living a regular day-to-day life, like with a lot of things. For example, like productive days in my life, things like that. Like it tends to make you feel bad when you're not doing that much. And not to say that that's the creator's fault or anything, but I just think there are a lot of pressure, and I think a lot of people tend to forget that like people who are reading that much a month and are content creators, like that's their job. You know what I mean? Like that's their job. And it's important to try to remember that, so you're not beating yourself up for not doing that much or reading that much or whatever the case is. I love watching those videos. Like, I think they're great. I think they're really entertaining. But I'm just not going to hold myself to that high of a standard, especially when it's not realistic for me in my day-to-day life. And I don't think you should do that either. Like, it's okay if you're only reading 2 books a month. It's okay if you're only reading 5 books a month. It's okay if you're reading no books a month. You know, some months are just not good reading months, and that's okay. It's okay to go at your own pace. It's okay if you're not reading 150 pages a day. It's okay if you're not finishing a book in 24 hours or 2 days, but I think it's like absolutely crazy. Like, props to those people who can read like 5 books in 24 hours or like 13 books a month. Like, y'all are like killing it. Love that for you. But it's not gonna be me, at least not at this point in my life. Maybe, hopefully, I can get to that point in my life one day if YouTube is something that can potentially become a full-time job for me. I would love to do readathon videos in the future, but I just want y'all to know now, please don't expect me to read 5 books in 24 hours, because it's just not gonna happen. I mean, it might. It might. If I do a readathon video and I read 2 books, if I do a readathon video and I read 1 book in 24 hours, pat myself on the back, because you know what? As long as you did your best, that's all that matters. My last unpopular opinion is that I think series are better than standalone books. I feel like I've gotten a lot more 5-star reads out of series than I have out of standalone books. And I feel like the reason why I feel like series are better than standalones is because I think the author puts so much more thought and detail into the plot and into the characters of their series versus a standalone book. In a series, you really get to know the characters, you really get to see how their relationships develop, and you really get to see how they develop as characters themselves. You get a lot more out of a series when you read a series versus a standalone book. I feel like more than half the time I give a 5 stars to a series versus a standalone book. And like I said, I just feel like it's because the author pays so much more attention to detail. You have a lot more time to connect with the characters and get attached to the characters that you're reading about when you're reading 3 books about the same characters versus just 1. Those are some of my unpopular book opinions. If you watch this video all the way through, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. We hit our first 100 subscribers, which is insane to me that even 100 people want to know what I have to say about books. Like, you first 100 people that have subscribed literally have a special place in my heart for believing in me from the very beginning, and I just want to thank you for commenting, liking, hitting that subscribe button. Literally, your support means the world to me. And with that being said, if you're new and you want to like, comment, and subscribe, please do. Like, I love hanging out with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys whenever I see you guys next. Bye!